Hi everyone, it's me, Charles Norman, Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of Athletic SOS, and it is a software that if you have a high school athlete, we're going to take their academic information, the sport they play, the level they can play at the collegiate level, and where they want to play in the country, in the U.S., and we're going to help them find the schools that they're academically qualified to attend that have their sport and offer an athletic scholarship for that sport. And so it's just a different way of approaching it. We're spring now, we're going into summer, and I just want to talk about some of the things that I've been telling other kids. I've had an opportunity this past week. I've done a basketball program. I've done a football combine. It was a spring football combine. I talked to kids there, and I did an esports event where I talked to people. And one of the things I get from a lot of families is, what's my advantage? What can I do to get me ahead of the game? And one of the things we always keep telling you guys is positioning is the key piece. People always worry about all the competition out there, right? All these other kids are trying to get these same athletic scholarship spots. There's only so many of them. Is it really worth it? Especially if you're not that D1 kid, right? You're D2, D3, NAIAs. It's still worth it. It's still worth the fight. Should I just go to school and let this sports thing finish out at high school, even though I have the opportunity? And I'm going to tell you right now, you should absolutely, if you can find the right spot for yourself, you should absolutely continue playing. It will make a big difference when you go to the college. First of all, it sets you apart from everybody else on the campus. And then the second thing is, where the way it sets you apart on the campus is that you're doing something everyone else can't do. And I don't care how many people tell you about your academic, get the academic scholarship. It's the same situation. If you get a scholarship for a college, you have to perform. And 60% of kids, and probably even more than that, change their major somewhere during their college years anyway. And so even if you get and I'm not saying you shouldn't get an academic scholarship. Please don't come for me, you guys. But what I'm saying is that if you get that academic scholarship, you're also painting yourself into a small corner, right? Because you have to stay in that field in order to continue receiving that scholarship. You can't just skip and go and do something else because that scholarship is not for that. They brought you there for a specific reason. Because I always hear the argument that, you go there for a sport and now you got to, play that sport. And if you come out, you're going to lose the scholarship or they can take it away from you. Same thing could happen. A lot of kids go to school, go to college. They came from a high school where they were the academic genius. They go to a great college. Everybody there is even with them or even better than them academically. So now they got to hustle, and this is the first time in their life that they had to hustle. And a lot of kids in high school, their parents are with them, and their parents keep them on task, right? And so they've got somebody there that's kind of pushing them and staying on top of them. And then they get to college, and that freedom happens to them. And they get a little bit overwhelmed because their parents sort of had them in this narrow world. So you have to be really careful. And I'm not coming after anybody for their parenting either. You do what you do to put your kid in the best position. I understand that. But if you do the sports, it does help. Now, the one caveat for sports is sometimes they won't let you take certain disciplines. But I always get around that by saying, hey, for the first 2 years, you're doing your general ed classes anyway. If you need to go into a certain discipline, play for a couple of years and then switch out and then go ahead and go for your discipline. And now you don't play the sport anymore. It's a good alternative. You get some money to go to school for at least a couple of years. Your kid can still say, hey, I played at the collegiate level in this sport. And again, that still sets them apart from a lot of other people. So anyway, all of that's going on. But here was the thing that surprised me when I was doing these talks. And this is even for the esports kids who are pretty, I'm assuming very smart kids, right? They're doing esports, but they're trying to go to school for technology and science and things like that, the STEM programs. But most of those parents, I would say at least 60% did not know which academic requirements you had to be able to play at the collegiate level for a D1 scholarship. I was completely surprised about that. Now, some of these kids have great grades, but they didn't know you had to take certain courses and you had to finish those courses before a certain amount of time. There were time limits for that. Hardly none of the parents knew about that. So I was telling them, go check with your counselor to make sure you're on track to be able to do that. There's some leeway there. And then some of the kids did know about the ACT and SAT aren't required for this first year, and a lot of them did not take the ACT and SAT, which completely threw me off. So I was explaining to them that does not mean that the college doesn't require the SAT, ACT, and they need to check on that because now you may have nullified yourself from being available for certain colleges, being eligible for certain colleges. So they weren't prepared for that. And then we talked a little bit about D1, D2. Oh, and probably I would say 90% of the people didn't know NAIA schools had their own eligibility center. Nobody even thought about a school being an NAIA school. They just think of college sports as college sports. They don't think NCAA. They do know the D1 programs. They understand that part, but they just think college sports is college sports, right? You just get a scholarship, and they didn't know anything about head count sports versus equivalency sports, right? A head count sport, you get a full ride guaranteed D1 level only, and they didn't understand that. So when I tell you guys that a majority of people don't even have a clue on what it will take, they're not in position to even accept an athletic scholarship offer. And that's what I've been trying to tell you guys. We want to be ahead of the game. That's why I created that, Athletic SOS, I give you guys at no cost. That's right. I don't charge for the software. So look down below. I give you the code. I give you the instructions for how to use it. Please use the software so you can find the schools that you qualify for that have the sports, and you know what your options and your opportunities are. But more importantly, the thing I'm trying to get you guys to do, and I created this side e-commerce site now where we got some of our cool gear on there. If you guys can go check it out, it's called Hawk Mindset. So it's hawkmindset.com, HAWKMINDSET.com. And so I chose Hawk Mindset because over in the area that I'm in, and this is the perfect time for it, in springtime, if you get up early enough in the morning, you'll see there's an area where there's a bunch of hawks. We have hawks just sitting on these light posts and in the trees, and they're sitting there. And I'm always curious about it. I'm like, well, why are they just sitting there? Because my son likes to go up there and sit in the hills. He likes to think up there. And he goes, well, what happens is the worms come out of the ground early in the morning. The smaller birds are waiting for the worms to come up, and then the hawks are waiting to grab the smaller bird. I didn't even know hawks ate birds, so all of this is throwing me off, right? But that is kind of the hawk mindset. So the early bird gets the worm, but the hawk gets the early bird. So we came up with the hawk mindset as a thought process. But what I was really trying to get for you guys is to think beyond what everyone else is thinking about. And then before I did this, I had one of the young ladies that played with my daughter in high school, in junior high school. They played in junior high school. They had played in elementary, and they kind of separated in high school and went to different travel club programs. But she had called me, and she got her first head coaching job at the D1 level. And so she's been doing this for at least 10 years. I mean, just really grinding, really hustling. So so this is the first time I've had a coach that I knew, and I was able to talk to her and ask her all these cool questions. So she's doing D1. The area that she got her first D1 it's not an area I think most people will necessarily be anchoring to go to, but it's okay. So she was telling, so I was saying, okay, so what are you doing now? You're there? How does this work? So she said, first of all, the first thing she has to do is pull back some of the kids that put themselves in the transfer portal. So you guys know now at the college level, at the end of the year, a lot of the kids, they're not happy where they are, something's going on. So they put themselves in the transfer portal to see if there's another opportunity for them. And in this case, it's because that coach left, right? So if the coach leaves, you don't know what the next coach is coming. You don't know what your position looks like. And if you were a pretty good player the previous year, you want to see what your other opportunities are. So her first job was to come in and get those kids back in the fold. And here was the interesting thing, and the reason I'm telling you this stuff is because there were 3 kids that she was really, really trying to get back. One was the shooter. So it's a basketball coach, right? D1 level. So she needs her shooter back because that's a specialty position. That's one of the things I keep telling you guys. Whatever the sport is, get good at something in that sport that's important. The most important thing about basketball, really for the most part, is can you put the ball in the basket? Can you do something other people can't do? And for whatever level you can do that, that is very important. So the first one she was trying to get with that shooter back, but everybody's going after that shooter. So she's trying to calm her down and let her know what she's doing. Her advantage is, though, that shooter's only a sophomore. So she can actually come in and say, hey, I'm going to be bringing some of my own people in, and we're going to get this program back on the road because the program's been down for the last 2 years, which is why that coach was let go and another coach is coming. The second thing she was looking for was she had a guard there previous year because she's looking at the book that the previous coach left for her. And this guard was a defensive, just cut it out in the stats defensively. So she wants that person because the type of player she was a hustle player, and defense is what she laid her name on. And so that was the other thing I keep telling you guys is that you have to have something you have a reputation for. That college coach is looking for something that clicks with them. And then the last thing was she said the coach had left one thing about one of the kids that she considered that kid the heart and soul of the team. And so she wanted that kid back too. So, and then everybody else is kind of still there. They didn't put themselves in the transfer portal. And so they're okay there. All right. So she's trying to find that. And then she's going to try to build the program. And so one of the things that I try to tell you guys, when you're using our software, sometimes you'll see where the coaches, because we show you the coaches at the schools too. If you go through the program, you'll see how it works. But sometimes you'll see TBA, to be announced. And that means that that previous year's coach is not there anymore. We get this a lot in the spring when we do our spring update. A lot of the coaches, now they just hired this, the person I'm telling you for this head coaching position. Now imagine we're in April, late April, and now she's got to put her team together. And so this is a dance they have to do. So if you're an unsigned senior, if you get the software, go ahead and look and see if you can find some of those schools that have TBA. If you see TBA there, that might be an opportunity for you to reach out and say, hey, you know, I'm interested in playing. It's a cool little hack. The only caveat, and remember I said we want to think ahead of everyone else, ahead of the competition. The only thing that you want to be a little bit cognizant of is, even if that coach took you, eventually they're bringing their own players in that fit their mold. So you may get less and less playing time. You may be able to fill a spot this year, but maybe for some reason they don't want to bring you back the next year. Remember, they don't have to keep you the way it was before because of the transfer portal. It works both ways. That coach doesn't have to keep you. They don't have to make a big reason why they didn't keep you. So all of these things, people want to win, but there's also a give. You know, you take and you give. Something's going to have to give every single time. So those are some of the things I want you guys to think about. And the biggest reason I'm doing this is there's the one thing that I always say, and I'll probably put it in as the title. What is the kiss of death for you as far as somebody that's coming from high school? You want to get this athletic scholarship. You've done everything right? You're in position to be able to accept an athletic scholarship. Why are you not getting selected? What is that one thing? And so I call this the mediocrity level. And medium is not bad. It means you're good, but you're not great. You know, you're not bad, but you're not terrible. But we have this, and the U.S. is really big for it. One of the things we always tout over here is our middle class, right? And I'm the biggest thing about it. Middle class, you've done enough to where your family's pretty comfortable. You can take vacations. You got a decent car. You're home. You're okay. You guys can, you can do things. You can go out to eat when you want to. Those kind of things. And you're sort of in this middle class. And you've been able to kind of float in the U.S., I say, since the 1950s. It's kind of a floaty thing, right? You get to the middle class and things are comfortable and they're cushy. But the world has changed now. I'm telling you, 2020 moving forward, everything has changed. So that medium thing, I told you guys, I work for the government. It used to be a thing in where I worked. You could come in with just a high school education, get a low-level job, and they would pay for you to go to college. And so if you went to college, and you could go into any field you wanted to, so you would pick a field in the city that made pretty good money, and you go back to school on their dime, and then when you come out, you continue working for the city, right? Because they pay for you to go to school. You just had to keep a C average, and you were good to go. Now, they cut that program out years ago. And then there were the people that went and got an AA, or they got a bachelor's degree. So when you came in and you came straight from high school, you would start at this aide position or this assistant position. If you had an AA or a bachelor's degree, you would come in at that position. So let's say it's a tree trimmer, a tree something. So you would come in at the aide if you only came from high school, and then you would go back to school and learn, maybe go to a tech school, wherever you're going to. But if you came in with a bachelor in horticulture or something like that, then you come in as the tree surgeon, right? As the tree person. But then the person that went in and got the master's degree, the advanced degree, they could come in. And so they would come in at that level, but they had the best chance of going into the senior positions where you make the most money. And in government, you make money by becoming a supervisor, not being great at what you do, which is just kind of off because some people, especially in the tech field, they're really great at what they do. They should get more money because they're better than everybody else. But if you don't want to take the senior position, which means you're supervising a bunch of other people, which a lot of people just don't do well, you couldn't make that good money. So people would take these senior positions, they'd be miserable, and then they try to go back afterwards. So, but anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. But what I'm trying to say is this: if you know that there's a shortcut, that shortcut where you can come in from the high school, they pay for you to go to school, even though you got in, and maybe you can get to that position level, it's very difficult for you to go any further than that because people don't see you the same way. They think you came from this aide position, you got here, you're making pretty good money. That's enough for you. As far that, and that's just the way people think. And if you came in at the bachelor's degree or the AA degree, and you came in at that level, that person that came in just as a high school person, they can match you. You have struggled now because the person that got the advanced degree now can. If you guys are going both for those senior, even though you qualify to get to that senior position, they have a better chance than you. Does that make sense? So that middle position is the worst position to be in, because the other person came from the bottom. They didn't pay to go to school. They're match up with you. They're making the same money you are. And the person that went past you and got the master's degree, they have the best chance of getting above you. And so you're stuck in that middle. So that middle piece is where you don't want to be. Now, how does this translate to sport? Remember I told you guys earlier, a lot of the people, they're not taking the ACT and SAT. They're doing the bare minimum, I guess is the best way to put it. They'll still be okay. Maybe some of them will get in, some of them won't. But go above and beyond. This is what positioning is. And this is the way you want to set yourself up for life, to think in these terms. And then the other thing I was trying to tell you guys was, if you're that middle player, even if you get to the collegiate level and you're not improving, that you're not coming in there with a work ethic that is above and beyond, you're going to get replaced. Even for this coach that's coming in, needs players, may even take you on, they eventually are going to say, okay, I need to bring in this next level of player, this player that this is life and death for them. They want to play this sport. They are the people that I want, and they're going to end up moving you out of the way. So do not stay in the middle. That is the worst place to be. Either come up from the bottom and get someplace and then move on, or you're going to have to go above and beyond to set yourself apart. And moving forward in this world, that is going to be the thing. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how unfair it is. I don't care whatever else you want to say. The world is changing now. You cannot be in the middle anymore. And so the sun's coming up over the horizon here. It's early in the morning, so it may mess up the video. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but so I'm going to close out here really quick. But I kind of want to get those pieces in for you guys. The kiss of death for you guys moving forward is mediocrity, being good enough, just good enough. That's not going to cut it anymore. And so you don't have to be great at everything. I'm not saying that, but what you need to do is you need to figure out something that everyone else doesn't see. And I tell you guys this over and over again. There's something that you can do. This is for the parents too. You guys are going to have to do something a little extra too. You got to get a little side job. You got to do something. And you're going to have to come up with something that you know how to do, but you see something. There's a little bitty crack, this little hole there that you can enter into that other people aren't looking at. It bothers them or something, and you just see it. Go build on that, and that is the thing that can help you make that extra money and move into a different world where you're in control of your life and what's going to happen next. And the same thing as an athlete. You're going to have to find something in your sport that you can do, that you see, that you can work on, that's just you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about more of that next week. All right, you guys, as always, I give you guys the code. Use the software. It's great software. Continue doing the other stuff that you're doing. You're going to the combines and the showcases. You're playing with your high school team. You're getting training. You're doing all this cool stuff. That's fine. Keep doing that. But use the software on top of that so you at least know the schools that you're interested in. Let them know you're interested in that school. Let your coach or somebody reach out for you. And now when you go out and do those other things, they know you exist and they'll come and check you out. That's what we're trying to get done. We're just doing it a little bit backwards. We're not trying to break the youth sports world. We're not trying to break the high school world or the training world or the combine world or the showcase world or the tournament world or any of that. We don't want to break anything. We just want you, the people that are rocking with us, that are going along with us as we're moving forward. I want you guys to think a little bit differently than everyone else. And I want you guys to take this into your life as you move forward. All right, we'll talk more about that as we move over. So that kiss of death, mediocrity. That is the kiss of death for you moving forward. It's just a whole new world. I don't know what else to tell you guys. I keep on trying to emphasize that. That is for the athletes. That is for the parents. It's for the coaches. It's for everybody. It's a whole new world out here, guys. You gotta adjust to it. That's all I can tell you guys. I just keep hearing people worrying and about how the future and how much everything costs and somebody needs to fix this. There is no fix for this. This is just the way it is. This is an economic thing. There's cycles that go on. But even when those cycles go on, our McDonald's right here, right now has when you can either do it on your app on your phone or you have kiosks outside of the McDonald's at night. And then they will put your food in. There's a locker and they give you a locker key and your food is just sitting in there in the locker key. And so, because in California they did that $20 minimum per hour rate for fast food workers, and it's going to backfire. You can't legislate your way out of this. You're going to have to not be in the middle. I don't know what else to tell everybody. But anyway, that's it. I'm not lecturing you guys. I'm just trying to motivate you guys more than anything. I just want you guys to move forward. Hey, we got some other cool stuff coming. Check out hawkmindset.com. I've got those t-shirts. Oh, one last thing. I know the sun's coming up. I'm not sure what this looks like, but last week I showed you guys the t-shirt, the athlete and t-shirt. Remember? And what and is that you're a great athlete. What is your and? What else do you do? Who else are you? Can you answer that question? Well, somebody, one of you guys, I'm assuming, because that's the only person I told about this, only people I told about that. Somebody bought all the smalls out. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That really helped me a lot. And then we do have the basketball one sold a little bit. I just showed those two shirts from last week's thing, but it's the shirt that says athlete and it has Hawk mindset in the middle. And that is a thought process as we move forward. We're changing your the way you think and you move in this world. That's what I'm really trying to get you guys to do for yourselves, for self-preservation at this point, but just to have a great life. I just want you to use your athletic ability to end up having this great, special, wonderful, magical life. Remarkable, remarkable life. And you can do it. This is just a phase for you guys. You can't play forever anyway. Okay? All right, you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.